Hey.
Hello.
No sound.
Sounds on. There we go. They're on the call.
You think so? Yeah, just right.
Okay. Just gonna do that. Hi.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. A little tired. It's been busy at work, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah. So we just wanted to follow up. Yep.
Yeah, I can see you.
I can't see anyone.
Oh.
Oh.
We can see you, but you're lagging a bit.
Yeah.
Now I can.
Okay. Well, Sarah's in DC, so
Yeah.
that's why she's on here too.
Yeah. So we just kind of wanted to follow up with you, Tony, and see where you guys were at with your conversations, and see if there's any other questions we could answer for you. Yeah.
Okay. One second, let me pull something up quick.
Okay.
Okay. Got it. So, with the wording changes to 36095,
Mhm.
I guess looking at the wording changes, I want to better understand the intentions behind them and what would actually change.
Okay. Sarah, do you want to elaborate on that a bit?
Sorry, I just got back on the call.
Okay, you're better connected now. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on what the wording change in 36095 would do? Is she like not there? Oh God. Okay, well.
I don't. Sarah, are you still there?
No, she's running.
No. disappeared.
Okay. Do you want to talk or do you want me to?
You want to?
I can try before Sarah gets back on. Sarah dealt with actually writing a lot of this, but she graduated and is not working in DC at the moment, so. Okay, I was like.
Got it.
Okay, you're back.
With the wording changes to 36095, I guess looking at the wording changes, I want to better understand the intentions behind them and what would actually change.
Okay. Sarah, do you want to elaborate on that a bit? Do you want to? Sorry.
Yeah. What specific wording changes? Just the whole thing as a whole?
No, you should.
Maybe she shouldn't.
I'm trying to pull up the wording. I don't know the word.
It's really clear.
Okay.
I'm working on pulling up the wording right
I'm
now.
sorry.
Okay, so like the big wording changes.
I just got back from the call.
Good.
Okay, you're better connected. Now, do you want to elaborate a little bit on what the wording change in 36095 would do? She's like not there.
I'm here.
Oh God.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Okay, well.
Yeah, she's gone.
Okay.
This is gonna be like a whole.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first part of the wording it changes exactly. So before the merger happened with UW System, says that. Okay, we just need to exit there out of the conversation or. anyone know what's happening?
You there?
She's
Alex?
here.
Okay, Sarah, can you see us? Hear us? Yep. Get a nod. We can hear you. Talk.
I feel like if I start talking, it's going to mess everything up.
It was a little bit delayed.
Yeah.
Tom Campbell is open.
No. Maybe.
What do you?
My voicemail.
How about you guys just
Okay.
go for it? And it's not.
Okay. Tom's gonna go grab the specific wording. I was trying to pull it up on my phone, but my phone was being slow.
Okay, so the specific wording changes that would be proposed to the policy change at the end here of our policy paper. So the first thing, and Sarah, you can jump in if you're listening and need to add something and try to stop talking. But so the first part, it crosses out kind of a broader definition of what segregated fees are in that first part of the wording change, and that's because when the merger happened, segregated fees used to be defined as non-allocatable, allocatable, all of these fees, but because of this not strict just wording or just not saying segregated fees, there's been a lot of different interpretations, which is why that change has happened. Do you want to?
You have the specific wording, right, Tony?
I'm trying to find it on my email right now.
You're fine.
We have it here, so we can read it out loud quick while you pull it up. It says it struck out the part that said those student fees which constitute substantial support for campus student activities and replace it with segregated fees. And then at the end it added, the board after consultation with students shall promulgate rules under Chapter 227 for the administration of segregated fees and the formulation and review of policies concerning student life services and interests. So just clarifying the why. Sorry. So just clarifying the what segregated fees like go to and stuff.
That's the first wording, and then the additional wording at the end is just to add that the process needs to happen that didn't happen last time, which is going through to make administrative the word for it, I can't think of. Like codified, yeah, being codified through that process, and that's what that's adding at the end is just that clarification that it needs to go through that process. Well, concerning student life services and interest, and just that adding the rules and clarification there.
I didn't know about it, so it's very similar to the state or federal government. Like these budgets aren't confirmed, and if like let's say we have disagreements with the
Yeah, that's gone. Really killing it right now.
Yeah. So did that help clear it up a bit, or would you like us to elaborate more?
A little bit. So where would F50 fall into the change?
Yeah. So with the addition to it, it charges the Board of Regents with creating a policy and then actually like codifying it through the state, which they didn't do with the F50 policy. So the intent behind that then is to set up a committee that has some regents on it and then a student from each of the UW schools. So that way students also have a say and we work together with the board to form a new segregated fee policy that we can all agree on.
That follows the policy that it is by law required to follow as an administrative rule.
Okay.
Which they did not do the first time. And with, I know you know some of the history, but in like the 80s, the legislature basically said that how they did those policies was non-binding. So the policies really aren't binding at all to us right now.
And then I know like before there were some concerns about like smaller campuses than Madison not wanting to have control over all of the fees just because you for the reasons you and Juliana explained. But just because students are charged with the responsibility doesn't mean we could still delegate it and stuff if we would like. So I know that was a concern you and others had before.
Mm-hmm. I know, especially with two-year campuses, they have such a high turnover that
Yeah.
for a lot of them.
Yep, which hopefully like this policy would provide that flexibility for them.
I know there's some wording added at the end that talks about revenue generating auxiliary units, and I'm just a little curious about how a department that would be funded off like a user fee, how they would fall into that, because they wouldn't be considered a segregated fee, but they could be considered a revenue generating auxiliary still.
Mm-hmm.
1 second, because I'm looking at a little bit of a different language, and I think than you have up.
Okay.
Is your language from Sarah Nybart?
Yes.
To the reps. Let me see here. It says you said that's at the end.
Yep. It's about how budgets have to be presented.
Okay. One second. I'm trying to find it. Okay, revenue generating auxiliary units. So like is the union revenue generating? Okay. So F50 says that if you're a revenue generating operating unit, that you need to use the revenue generated to offset the levy, like our union here, Wisconsin Union. Sarah's can hear us and she's typing me things to say, and we'll try our best to coordinate that. I apologize.
Sarah, if you would like, there's also the messaging chat function if you want to type in there if you're able to.
That would be good. And then she also said that revenue generating is a problem, and this is kind of where our biggest problem on UW-Madison's campus kind of came, is that the revenue generating is a problem is because we can't see where seg fees start and stop in that process, which is like what this is coming at. Hopefully she's typing in the chat.
Where can I do that?
Top left. There's a button.
Okay. So another question I have is, with what we currently have non-allocable and allocable fees, how would a fee that's currently non-allocable be treated in the changes?
Yeah, so our non-allocatable seg fees still go through similar budget processes to the allocatable, correct, Sarah? Yes. So they would still go. I don't know how it works at River Falls, but each of the groups that receive seg fee funding have a presentation to the SUFAC, and so they would still like. Is that similar to what you guys do?
How we have it set up is we have our student government is considered our SUFAC.
Okay.
But we do delegate a committee of our student government to create the budget for the allocable fees, but our student government is technically the ones that still do the allocation. We just have a committee that creates an allocable budget for us.
Okay.
So it's our student government that is our SUFAC, and that's how we set it up.
Okay.
And eventually, all fees go through our student government, but the non-allocable fees, we don't have any power to amend or change, and I know that's a lot, like a lot of other campuses, but with these changes, would they be treated like an allocable currently is, where they would be able to alter the budget?
Sarah,
So I guess, or would the SUFACs be able to alter budgets that are currently seen as non-allocable?
Can you say that again? I could not really hear you.
Such a challenge.
So just to kind of summarize it up, how would a non-allocable fee be treated in the changes? Would a SUFAC be able to alter it like they would to an allocable right now? And then just following up on that, since all fees are still subject to the approval of the Chancellor and the Board of Regents, would the student amendments just be sent to, say, the Chancellor as kind of a recommendation? Or would the Chancellor have to present that budget to the Board of Regents?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? Sarah's got it.
Morgan, if you want to take this, you can. I just was writing just in case.
I missed the question.
Oh. So if students amend a budget, do the chancellors have to forward on that budget to the Board of Regents, or they still have final say on the budget, so the amendments by students would still be considered just recommendations to the chancellor, if I'm correct, right?
I think the intent is for what students send to the chancellor to be the one that goes to the board, correct, Sarah? Or what are the chance? Oh, okay.
You're gonna have to give me a second on this one.
That's fine.
Yep, that's good. My one concern about that process is that if the budget from the following year is what would continue, the department may, in a year, take on more responsibilities or like a new building or something where they would need different operating costs. So I'm guessing that's something that would go to the Board of Regents, and they would still have to make a decision on that budget instead of forwarding on the previous year's budget.
I think we could probably like in the policy that we like create with other students and then with the board, figure out a way to fix that. So like if they do have a new debt or something like that, such from a building project or whatever, we could add that to the previous year budget or something like that. We could figure something out. I feel like it would be something we could fix because that is a good concern.
And this seems similar to the process of a new fee, where there has to be distinctive act on behalf of the SUFAC, and that recommendation from the SUFAC and the recommendation from the Chancellor both get forwarded on to the Board of Regents. And then it's actually the Board of Regents that make the decision on the new segregated fee. So this seems similar to that process. Okay. It's okay, I'm dyslexic. So, are there going to be other changes included in this bill that gets introduced, amending 3609 at all?
This is all that we were planning on so far. But if you have other ideas about, yeah, we'd be happy to hear those too.
With, I know a lot of campuses were talking about implementation plans last year, and I know some campuses don't really know where theirs is, or they don't really have them. And if this is going to be introduced, I think it may be a good opportunity to put something in there requiring every student government or campus to resubmit their implementation plan to the UW system, requiring, because I know already the procedures for allocable and non-allocable fee review are supposed to be filed with the UW system president, and I know a lot of campuses haven't been following that either, or system, so.
Yeah, I really like that idea. We were actually looking at figuring something out with ours because it was passed by the shared governance bodies, but the chancellor ignored it, I believe, for ours a long time ago now. So that was actually something ASM was looking at working on this year anyways. So I think it would be a good thing to add to this bill as well. And Sarah agrees, right, Sarah? Yes? Okay.
Yep.
So.
And, yeah. Okay.
What's kind of the introduction timeline for this?
So for this policy, so we're looking, ASM right now is working on rolling out our budget priorities for the biennial budget, and that's what we're looking at putting this in, but we want to make sure that this is something that, we've thought through and everything before we bring forward. And a timeline would be right in August when we would like to start having those conversations about budget priorities as soon as possible with as many offices and things to try to get some early promises and things like that for when the budget rolls out later in the year, in the beginning of next year. That would be the plan at this point.
Okay.
And we had met with the governor's education advisor to talk about seeing if we could get this in the governor's budget right away. Obviously, that's completely dependent on who the governor is at the time. But Walker's education advisor guy, he didn't say yes or no, obviously, because he can't speak on behalf or for the governor, but he was at least interested in having more conversations with us about it. So that would be hopefully in the budget, so late January, early February, depending on who's elected and when they get around to finishing the budget.
Yep, and then after that would be the joint finance committee hearings, just like the last time, we're hoping through this process, instead of going to legislative route, going to the budget process, we can have other schools there to voice their opinion for or against whatever they decide, just so it's more inclusive.
Yep. Okay.
Does that seem like an okay timeline, or?
Yep. I know reps will also be doing their legislative priority summary, and I hope reps can get that done sometime very early first semester.
Okay.
By the meeting after the SUFAC summit, hopefully.
Okay. When is that?
Maybe, I don't have the dates right offhand, but we did set all the dates for first semester.
Okay.
And I would be able to pull those out. I can send them to you after.
Okay. Are you still you're the vice president, correct, at River Falls?
I'm the president for this coming year.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Okay.
I have one more question about other changes to 3609. I know in the past couple of years, some states have, with a similar dynamic in the legislature as Wisconsin's current legislature is, they've looked at faculty tenure a little bit, and I was wondering if that's something the legislature, if they're looking at that with these changes.
I have not heard conversations.
1 second, Sarah, I think, had something to say.
It may be an opportunity.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
No.
So this is a conversation that the
Okay, we're leaving.
wanted to do with what?
Yep. Sorry,
We
you
lost
cut
you
there
for
for
a
a little.
minute.
What?
This type. Sarah, you're talking about 36094. Yeah. 36094 came under a lot of scrutiny last.
Okay.
And just to go off quickly what Sarah said, back up, I've also seen the white paper, and a lot of effort was put in taking students out of that, and what we're hoping to accomplish through this is just reinforcing why shared gov is important for students to take that, so it doesn't come up again, but as of right now in the white paper, the students were taken out and the discussion stopped.
Okay. I guess one other thing I would like to kind of add is I know the United Council, their funding mechanism was taken away.
It was.
And like statewide, student governments weren't really organized very well immediately after that. I was wondering if this would be a good time to look into the idea of putting into 36095 something for a state level student association.
Well, I'll go ahead and say that we've definitely had that conversation.
Yep.
I'm not sure what exactly is a 36095 route yet, but I would really like to meet with you another time with our chair and vice chair who've been working very diligently to try to decide what we're going to do for statewide students association. But I'm glad you brought that up, that we have been talking about it, but hopefully we can have another meeting to talk more in depth about what that could look like, if that would be okay with you.
Yeah. Actually, at the place I'm working at this summer, the former chair of Minnesota's statewide student association is working too, so
Oh,
Okay.
a little
that's
bit.
not cool.
So yeah, I will tell them about that and that you're interested in continuing that conversation because I know we are.
Because reps right now, there's a group of reps from last year working on a budget proposal for reps. So,
To fund a new SSA?
yes, to fund reps. Most likely we'd be looking at funding the UW system
Okay.
in the budget, so
Okay.
Well, we're really glad to hear that other schools are also discussing having or forming a new SSA.
I'm trying to look at what to do.
Yeah, and we'd love to have more conversations about that.
I definitely feel like a name change. Or
Yeah.
reps, maybe. It's kind of, I didn't choose it.
I can tell you that we were at the United States Student Association board meeting a week ago, and UC did do a presentation. They have found a way to restructure the entire organization for now, including the board, to be about 8 alumni and 3 students. So at this point, UC's not doing too hot. So we'll definitely have that conversation to continue, and we can tell you more about that.
I've seen their presentation
Isn't it great?
4 times, and it's changed every single time.
Yeah, I know. We actually had some UW-Madison alum that was with them that we weren't sure why, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely look forward to that. And as we roll out our budget priorities, we'll definitely be reaching out to the rest of the state to try to coordinate as much as we can, so we're united this year as much as we can be. But thank you.
I guess River Falls was looking at proposing some changes to F50
Okay.
here. also, but F50 wouldn't really exist after these changes, so
Yeah.
I don't know how applicable it could be.
And we did try, like, the reason we went this route is because we have worked on changing F50 in the past, and we were just shot down.
Yep, then board has continuously stalled.
So we felt that this was the only option left, really, because we had conversations with the board, and they weren't interested in looking at it. But the state can make them look at it, so that's the route we thought would be best.
I know some of the changes we were looking at are just small updates, really, to like allow student media to have a online presence and still have back end of student media.
Okay.
So it's really just updating it for the times, but.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you send us the wording of the changes you guys were looking at?
Yeah.
For what?
They're looking at making changes to F50 just to kind of update it as to being more modern than it is. Of course, planning if certain things don't happen. Yep. No, it's still good to look at both routes.
Yeah.
Wait, I
guess-
have a question.
Yes.
With the revision to the F50, are you all just looking to revise F50?
It was just at River Falls. We've been actually hearing from a lot of our students that are involved in our applicable fee process that they want some changes to F50, like our student media. Now, student media's online presences aren't protected under student media. So,
Okay.
those are some things we're looking at. But it's not really any like major sweeping changes, just little updates. One thing I've talked to system about a little bit is the process for introducing a new segregated fee. Right now, there's no system policy really for the creation of a new segregated fee. And I know a lot of campuses treat new seg fees very differently. And some campuses have a referendum for a new fee, and other campuses it's just a student government.
When you say new segregation,
Such a struggle.
what?
You're back.
Not really either a student activity or differential tuition fee. More like, say, a university would open up a new student union, and they want that union funded through a different segregated fee than, say, their previous union, where there wouldn't be fees rolling into the new fee. It'd be a completely new fee on top of their current segregated fees. So I guess it's like a green fee. The green fee. I guess on a lot of campuses, students are charged for segregated fees, and one bill for segregated fees. But those fees are broken down into new budgets or different budgets, and each budget has its own portion of that segregated fee. So it'd be a new department created that has a budget, and thus a new fee would be created that would be added on to the total segregated fees.
Would that be referendum? The new athletic stuff? Yeah.
Because I know in like system policies right now, the only thing really governing the process for creating a new segregated fee is that there shall be distinctive action on behalf of the SUFAC, and then that distinctive action has to be presented to the board in part of the proposal. So that's all that's laid out right now for students' rights when a new fee is created. And I was wondering if that would be something we should be looking at moving into.
I think, I mean, depending, I don't know what Sarah's going to say, if she's going to say anything, but I definitely think that since I'm not entirely sure on that one, it's something we should definitely look into that I haven't thought of or haven't thought through at this point. And I'll look into that more, or we all can, I mean, all three of us will, and try to figure out what exactly that is, or if there is anything that we do right now. But at this point, I don't really know if we're all too confident on answering.
If you have, sorry, you go.
River Falls right now, we're going through a process of creating a new, we're opening a new athletic facility, and we need a new fee to fund that athletic facility. So we have to, our student government has to approve the fee, and then it gets sent to the chancellor, and then off to the board of regents for final approval. And that's how we're going about this process. That's how we've always went about it at River Falls. But I know when Madison had its new fee for your athletic facility renovations, that went through the referendum.
Yep. We do use referendum too.
And I know in UW system policy there has to be distinctive action on behalf of the SUFAC regarding the fee, the creation of a new fee. So.
Okay, so just kind of defining that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it really should be the SUFAC making the decision on the fee.
Yeah. I mean, and if it would get to the point of F50 being in the budget, that I would think would be, like, the formation of those policies would be the time for a lot of that to come out.
Yeah.
And decided.
And if for defining that, if you have specific ideas, we'd love to hear it because we, like Sarah said, we just have one big seg fee bill, and then for our exports referendum, we ran the referendum for it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to get going. I don't know if you guys can stay or not, but if you do have other questions or stuff, please feel free to email us.
Okay.
I respond to my email all the time,
Yeah.
like all the time, and we all do. So feel free to email us with questions. We're working on this stuff pretty much all the time. So
yeah, and we want to work with other schools as much as we can on it.
Especially near with a very low SSA support from UC, we really want to try to make sure we can still be a state UW system.
Yeah. Definitely a challenge right now.
For sure is.
Yeah.
You've been trying to get campuses to respond to an email.
Yeah.
I actually emailed out a letter to Sam Taukin because that's what was listed on your site.
Yeah.
It was just an email, and I can send it to you. It was a support letter for trying to support a debate between the governors and just like public education, like associations and schools asking for that debate. I'll send it to you, and I'll follow up with that. That's something we're looking to do too.
And
then
I'm planning on setting up a meeting with my state representative or state senator as soon as possible after I get back from.
You have Harsdorf, right?
Yep, Harsdorf.
Okay. Cool. Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. If anything else comes up, feel free to email us. You have, for sure, my email, and I think I CC Tom on an email.
Yep.
So.
Also, if you have any comments or anything about reps or would like to see any changes, I'm definitely open.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot of changes I thought we should have made last year, they voted down, so.
Yeah, no, yep, definitely. And I'll get in touch, or I'll talk to our vice chair and chair about setting up another meeting to talk about SSA and stuff like that.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.